So we're live now because the light switched to red. We're back here and we snatched Pete Brown to talk to us. Hi, Pete.
Hi, nice to see you guys again.
Okay, nice. We want to talk a little bit about your session. I heard earlier you had a session yesterday. Mm-hmm. You still have one session to go today. What did the guys miss yesterday in your session?
Yeah, so yesterday I talked about what Microsoft supports and what Microsoft recommends for building desktop applications.
Yeah.
So I talked a bit about what we're doing with .NET Core 3, what we're doing with the Universal Windows Platform, and how we're making that available to WPF developers and Windows Forms developers and whatnot, as well as kind of a bunch of the technology that goes around that. So, for example, I spent some time yesterday talking about what we call XAML Islands, which is a way to take UWP user interface and kind of surface that through a WPF application or a Windows Forms application or a C++ application, so that you could still use your existing applications that you've been working on for the past decade and not have to rewrite the whole thing to take advantage of, say, like inking in Windows 10 or the webcam APIs, which are so much easier to use in UWP. And it was really about kind of a shift in our thinking there, where you don't have to adopt UWP as a whole thing. You don't have to eat the whole cake. We want to make sure that you can move pieces where they make sense and have a migration strategy. And then the other thing I talked about yesterday, so that was most of the talk. I ended the talk yesterday talking about a packaging standard called MSIX, where MSIX is what we're investing in going forward to deploy applications and package applications, not just on Windows 10, but also I pulled up a VM that had Windows 7 in it and showed how you could take your WPF app, which was using XAML Islands to show the browser control in Windows 10, and how we were able to take that, package it up, use it on Windows 7, where it actually used the IE browser control in that case there, because it was on Windows 7. So
very nice
there. And then also because MSIX is a cross-platform standard, I also went and built the package in WSL, which if you're not familiar with that, that's Linux on Windows, basically.
Well,
which is
one
of my favorite things. It's super cool, right? Okay. But I was able to build the package on WSL and then deploy it to Windows 7, and it all just worked just fine.
So it's not Windows specific at all?
No, so the MSIX is an open standard. It's open source, so we've made all the packaging code available. I was able to build it on WSL for Ubuntu, so I was able to run it directly from there, but it also works on Mac OS. And of course, when we say cross-platform, it's not just Windows 10, right? It's Windows 7 as well, which is arguably a completely different platform from Windows 10.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So can I say it's the same as Click Once, but just better?
So it does some of the things that Click Once did, but it's easier to deal with. It's just a zip file now, right? It's not MSIX, but it's really like the AppX packaging format.
Right.
But it's all the things that we needed to do with MSI and that everybody's been doing with MSI, then all the stuff that we did for AppX for packaging for the store combined together and then put forward, right? So it's really where we're investing for installing applications.
And then on limits on packaging, can you package literally anything?
Yeah, so you can. When I was first testing out some of the packaging, I accidentally packaged all my source code instead of the compiled application.
Very nice.
So that just worked. It just, when I went to run it on Windows 7, it said it couldn't find the exe, and so I was looking like, what the heck happened here? And then I unpacked what was in there, and it was all the source code for the application.
Nice. So it's whatever you want to package, it's possible to include in your package.
Yeah, and really we want people to try that out. So again, you can get this from GitHub. We have all the stuff there. We want people to try it out and give us feedback if it's not packaging something that you really wanted to package. The other thing that's important is we worked with a whole lot of install vendors, so that it'll just work with all of the existing install tools, and also all the MDM and Intune and all the types of things that you might be using to manage to deploy applications inside your enterprise.
Yeah.
And we can do that because there's, the examples I showed yesterday, we're building a brand new application and packaging that up. But if you've invested all this time in building an installer already and you have an MSI, we have an application that you can run the installer on the PC and it'll listen to what's happening in that installer and create an MSIX that does everything that installer did.
That's really nice.
Right?
Because I invested earlier on with Wix. I don't know if you know the Wix installer. I made extra screens and so on. So you can include those extra screens as well. Yeah.
So there's some limitations in the UI side of things, right? But and again, that's the kind of feedback we want. Do you need more custom screens? Do you need it to be made easier for that? But all the unattended install stuff, like setting different registry keys and all those things, we can capture.
Those are included already. Yeah, nice.
That's interesting because, I mean, stuff like automatic updates and all those kind of things, it's actually crucial if you look at app-like environments when you need to install and manage your versions.
Right, and MSIX, I don't want to sound like I'm really selling MSIX here, but it is an important technology.
Brought to you by?
Yeah, brought to you by MSIX.
Why not?
Right? It's important for us because it'll let you sideload your packages, but you can do, like you said, the click once stuff with automatic updates, or you can put it in the store and have it managed that way. And it could be the store for business type stuff, like internal store things or our public store. So it really is the one packaging format that can go everywhere there. And again, like, we're not going to force you to put it in the store. Just sideload it if you want. You can sideload it off a share. Or when you build an MSIX, you can have it do just like Click Once did. You get a web page, you say install, and it'll automatically install and update it.
It's interesting because Windows S can only install from the store.
From the store,
right?
So if I have a WinForms app and I package it up in MSIX, it can be accessible on Windows S, right?
Yes. Yeah. Once it's been signed and verified and stuff, it goes through the MSIX process. The other thing MSIX can give you, but it's not necessarily a requirement for using MSIX, is it lets you have a package identity. And so because you have a package identity, you can be in the store, but you can also start to use Windows 10 UWP APIs that require an identity, right?
Nice.
So if you want access to the webcam and mic, you need an application identity to do that because we want to validate that. So by packaging it up in an MSIX, signing that, and then putting that
extra layer of security,
you're going to get it. Then you get that identity and access to use that stuff.
Very nice. And if you revisit your session from yesterday, what is the one most important giveaway you want to have the people to invest in when they get at home?
Sure. So yesterday I ended the whole presentation with I don't know if you remember Monty Python and the Holy Grail. They had the bring out your dead scene at the end. They're pushing the guy in the cart. And he's like, I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead. It's like, I'm getting better. So that was kind of the idea here, is that, WPF, even Windows Forms, UWP, none of these things die. Like, we're using them, and through .NET Core and the enhancements we're making there, WPF and Windows Forms get enhanced. And then through all the stuff we're doing to UWP and making that accessible to WPF and Windows Forms, all of these things grow together.
Okay.
And so, just because we don't have a phone anymore, it doesn't mean that UWP is dead. And just because we haven't done something directly under the purview of WPF doesn't mean it's stagnant either, because these are just sort of all moving along together.
Okay, nice. That's very important.
I have a question on .NET 5. Is it good to ask you? So .NET 5 is launching, I believe, next year somewhere.
Yes, on November 2020.
Yeah. So do you think that WCF will be supported in .NET 5?
I have no. So to be completely honest, I have no idea. I haven't done anything with that side of .NET in a very long time. But I'm pretty sure there are some people that were here that you could ask that question to.
Yeah, because a lot of my colleagues are like, should we move to .NET Core because of the framework is busy dying, but that's not the case, right?
No, I mean, so .NET Framework and .NET Core are going to converge in .NET 5. What that looks like, I couldn't tell you right now. Like, I'm not close enough to that team to know exactly, like, is it 100% compatible? Is it really just feature compatible? Are there some wrinkle changes? Like, I don't have an answer for you right there, just because I'm not the right guy on that one. But it is, if you have a way to move to .NET Core, I think it's one of your easiest ways to move forward.
Yep.
So one of the examples I showed in the talk yesterday, when I did the WPF application that I installed on Windows 7, it was actually using .NET Core 3 for the WPF application, but the control that I was using from the Windows Community Toolkit uses .NET Framework, right? So the .NET Core and .NET Framework stuff just coexisted side by side perfectly fine, and as an application developer, you didn't even know that this component you were using was using .NET Framework because it just communicated. So there will be a lot of mixing and matching of that stuff.
Well, in that case, it's Windows specific then, because you won't be running that on a Mac.
Correct. So you're also not going to run WPF or Windows Forms on a Mac or Linux anyway.
Hence, when Forms.
Yeah, right. And it's so closely tied to GDI, it just doesn't work that way. But like the console applications and stuff are cross-platform. And like PowerShell Core, I showed as well. Like it's PowerShell 7 Preview 4. There's Preview 4. There's cross-platform PowerShell. I actually opened up in WSL on the PC.
Wow.
I was like, all right, so I have Bash running here, and then I did PowerShell Preview on that, so I had PowerShell shell running on Bash and Ubuntu on Windows anyway, just to show it's cross-platform, which was kind of fun.
Very nice.
Cool.
And your talk today, because you still have a talk at 3 o'clock, I believe?
I do, yes. So I'm going to talk about IoT today. So more, again, coming from the Windows side as an embedded developer. So the things that we're doing with IoT Enterprise, IoT Core. I'll talk a little bit about some of the services we have that support it, but you could easily do hours of talking about the Azure IoT services, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to talk, again, thinking about some backwards compatibility. I'm going to talk about what we're doing for Windows CE.
Yeah.
So Windows CE, that's like when I started being a professional developer. It was
I used the program for that as well.
my first handheld PC was a Windows CE PC, the little clamshell thing that opened up. But there are still thousands of different applications that are out there that are using Windows CE.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us run into them and don't even realize it's CE.
Most of the point of sales, for example.
Point of sale, there's still like ATMs and things like that are doing it. And those applications are stuck on CE because that platform is not compatible with NT-based Windows, right? So you can't just take the app and recompile it and move it over like you could with, say, like XP or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're introducing for our IoT SKUs a platform abstraction layer that will let you take your CE application without recompilation or anything and run it on any of our IoT SKUs so that you can get access to more devices, security, Azure services, all the things that CE applications haven't been able to use forever. So I'll talk a bit about that today and show an example of that as well.
Great,
Nice.
great.
Have you, by the way, seen the Meadow board?
Sorry.
Meadow board?
Meta board.
Yeah, Meadow.
Oh, Meadow board.
Meadow board, yeah.
Oh,
it's also like it's .NET standard based, as I said, it's .NET standard based IoT
device. Yeah.
device.
I think we had that at Build either this past year or the previous year before. I haven't used it myself. I'm going to show stuff on a Dragon board, which is a Qualcomm device. I also have a TurtleBot, which is by Robotis, which has a Latte Panda, which is basically a full PC that's this big that's running on it. Unfortunately, what happened, and so this sort of changed my demo a little bit. When I got over here, I opened my flight case that I had this stuff in, and the USB connector had ripped off the board, and so the robot is a little stationary now because that board that ripped off took care of like additional sensors and all the motivators and stuff. But it's still going to be fun to show robot operating system on Windows 10 as well.
Very nice. And you're here in the Netherlands about once a year for Techorama, or?
So I was here for Techorama last year, which I think that's the first one in Netherlands.
Yeah, that's correct. It's the second one.
And I had done Belgium before that, which was great.
The Netherlands is better, right?
Of course it is. Right?
Yeah, okay.
And I like this venue because it's really neat, and it's like a big hobbit hole. Like if you look, it's all buried underneath grass and stuff. It's super fun that way. And the audience here has been great, and the event running and everything is great as well. So hopefully I'll come back again.
Oh, we hope so too. Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed your session from last year as well. So really nice, really nice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being on our live cast.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.